Hey everyone, so I just wanted to make this video because apparently it's very confusing to know the difference between a service animal and an emotional support animal. So a service animal is required for somebody with a disability in order to help them, like a medical device such as a wheelchair or a guide stick or whatever. So they help somebody get through their day-to-day life that is struggling, whether you can tell or not. There's no documentation for a service animal that is federally recognized, such as the National Service Animal Registry, which now does service animals and emotional support animals. That is not legit. It's not required, and it's also a joke in my opinion. So a service animal is covered under ADA, which also covers fair housing. It's the Disabilities Act. And so you can't discriminate against somebody. So a service animal is allowed in public places such as grocery stores, hotels, restaurants, gas stations, wherever. They're there to help the person if they're going through a seizure. They have panic attacks, literally whatever it is. They are trained specifically for those disabilities and how to react to that person to get the person the help they need, whether it's a ambulance or whatever, get their meds anyway. And so that is a service animal. Oh, they also have vests. Sometimes they are not required. I used to not have a vest on him that was labeled for a very long time, but it got annoying. So I did end up getting him a vest, and this is on both sides of his vest in big letters, so that way people stop asking. Again, it is not required. You do not have to show this, and people who do get the vest and it is not a service animal, that is against the law. You cannot make it seem like you have a service animal when you don't. And so please don't do that anyway. And which brings me to the next thing, which is an emotional support animal like this one. So he is not specifically trained other than being fluffy and a good guard dog and sweet. He does come with documentation. You need a letter from your licensed therapist that you are seeing that says you have a qualifying disability and you need this animal in order to provide support emotionally for you, or psychologically for you. So this is more physical tasks. These are more mental tasks, but even still, you can live without an emotional support animal. He's not allowed in public places like restaurants and grocery stores. And it's only qualified under, or it's covered under Fair Housing Act. So that way you can't discriminate against him. And it can be a snake, a squirrel, a bunny. You probably shouldn't have a squirrel anyway, any of those things. And so this is covered under fair housing. He's covered under the ADA, so he can go anywhere. Let's see, those certificates I already said are false. Yeah. So something they share in common is for housing, for long-term rentals, you are not allowed to charge any kind of deposit or additional fees for these animals. As far as your short-term rentals go, because it comes up a lot, you are not required to accommodate somebody with an emotional support animal for a short-term rental or a hotel. I'm not sure why that's different, but this one you have to let them in with no additional fees or charges or anything like that, unless there's damage, which is very rare in both cases. But, you know, if you're a good dog owner, then you don't have pets who destroy things. Unless they're puppies. Puppies in training do not equal service animals, so you don't have to accommodate those. In either case, you can, if you're a landlord, you can ask for a reasonable accommodation to accept either of these, along with the letter for the emotional support animal from your therapist. If you don't have one, you can look one up online. It's really easy. You could make one yourself. Just basically the person saying, you know, they have this animal for a qualifying disability, which is why you need it from a therapist for the emotional support animal, that you need them to accommodate their no pets policy, their whatever. It's just like putting in a ramp. It's, you know, your own cost as the person who owns the dog to, you know, have any alterations made for providing ramp. It's the same thing for a dog. You know, you're providing your own costs involved in having that piece of medical equipment, even though it is a living being. You still have to pick up after your pet. You still have to abide by the local laws and everything like that for licensing and whatnot. You have to have them vaccinated and all those things. You're not exempt from any of that. It is fairly obvious when somebody is trying to pass off their pet as either an illegitimate emotional support animal or a service animal. However, it is very limiting when you can only ask 2 questions for the person with a service animal of is it a service animal, which can be a dog or a miniature horse? And second is it required? Is it trained to do tasks in order to assist with this disability? Those are the only 2 questions you can ask under the ADA. You can go look all this up for yourself. Please do. If you work in the service industry, you should know these things. If you are a landlord, you should know these things. Property managers, realtors, pretty much everyone should know these things, but I don't know why it's so blurry, why people don't understand it. I know the emotional support animal is a fairly new concept, but the service animals have been around for a very long time under the ADA. And so go look it up for yourself and learn some things that you are supposed to know anyway. I hope I made it clear the difference between a service animal and an emotional support animal, what requirements there are, or no lack of requirements for a service animal especially, and what they both entail as far as your responsibilities as a landlord or, you know, public service industry provider or whoever you are. Anyway, go and learn and make the world a better place, and please love on people with disabilities because they are having a hard day whether you can see it or not. I don't look like I have a disability, so, and I have hard days almost every day. I choose not to bring Blue a lot of times because people actually make it more stressful for me bringing him there and not allowing him in restaurants and things than if I were just to not bring him. And some days that is very hard and risky for me. But I do it because of the lack of education. So I'm hoping that this video will educate you, but also encourage me that I should be able to feel safe wherever I go with my service animal. Thanks.